Welcome back to my channel where we talk about finding your dream job. Today we're going to continue in our series about breaking down interview questions into their core components. We go into all of the most common interview questions you're likely to get at your next interview and figure out how we can start building up our best responses to those interview questions. Today we're going to be going over the interview question, describe your ideal work environment. What is your ideal work environment? This response is going to be different for every person at every job interview that they go to, for two reasons, mainly. One, because of course, everyone has their own ideal work environment. Duh. Okay, but two, and probably more important, is that every job that you go to, every company that you apply to, has their own existing work environment, and that's going to be different based on the company that you are applying to. Now, you might say, well, you shouldn't be basing your answer off of the job that you're applying to. And I would say, wrong. So you should have an understanding of your ideal work conditions going into this question. Do you love a structured workday, or is flexibility more important to you? Are meetings your thing, or should everything be done by email? There's plenty of opportunities throughout this interview process to glean what the work environment is going to be like at the company you're applying to. This is something you need to be figuring out as the interview progresses, if not beforehand. Because here's the thing, you, at the end of the day, get to decide whether or not you want to work at this company. When it comes to whether or not you're going to take this job, you should really consider whether or not the culture, the environment, fits well with what you consider to be your ideal work environment, what you consider to be your ideal work conditions. You don't even want to be at a job if it's going to conflict so much with what you actually work well in. But at the end of the day, that is a personal decision that you'll get to make only after you get a job offer. So what we're going to do today is talk about how you can answer this question correctly to get that job offer. That's when you get to decide whether or not you even want to take the job. Now, we can say a lot here, but the bottom line is whatever the culture is, whatever the environment is at the company you are applying to, is what your ideal work environment should be when it comes to answering this question. That is the correct answer here. They're trying to figure out if their working environment is conducive to your working environment. If you're going to be able to hit the ground running and fit in well with this company and in this job position. Sometimes when they come back after an interview and say, well, you just didn't seem like a right fit for the team, it's because the person gave a response to this question that made them feel like they are not going to fit in with this team because their work environment is so drastically different than the existing work environment at this company. So whether or not these working conditions truly do fit in well with what you consider to be your ideal work conditions, when we are developing an answer to this question, we're going to say that they fit perfectly. Again, whether or not they actually do, the correct answer is my work environment is exactly what your work environment is. How crazy is that? What a coincidence, right? For the sake of getting this job offer and getting to the point where you can actually make that decision, it's gonna be up to you to make that decision when the time comes. But for the sake of progressing in this job opportunity, you need to give them that answer. So my overall advice to you would be make sure that they actually do align. You don't really want to be lying here. You want their company, their team, to have a general structure that you can live with, that may even be ideal for you. You don't want a company that you're going to be miserable in because they do meetings day after day after day when you could just be sitting there saying, this could be an email, right? Those aren't the kind of companies that you want to work for where you're going to be miserable. But I'm going to leave that kind of decision up to you. I'm here to help you get the job. You're the one to decide whether or not you really need it. So again, just to reiterate, when you're asked the question, what is your ideal work environment? You need to piece together what their current work environment is based off of everything you've collected so far and kind of regurgitate that as your ideal work environment. That's what they want to hear, and that's what's going to give you the opportunity to move on in this job hiring process so that when the time comes, you can make the decision about whether or not you even want this job. And that's what we're here to do. Make sure you get that opportunity to decide for yourself. And who knows, maybe back-to-back meetings and weekend work expectations are something you could grow to love. Now, this question isn't likely to make or break your interview prospects, but it is just one of many interview questions that you are likely to get at your next job interview. If you're interested in more of these types of breakdown videos on the most common interview questions, check out this playlist here where I get into many of those. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing to my channel where I release weekly videos on how you can find your dream career and how you can land that job that you deserve.